So, what is going on? It is a motherfucking Mott's, man. Integrated aged Mott's. Whatever. Today, we're going to be talking about some old games, and for the first video, what's fucking poppin'? You primordial serpent System Shock. Quick analysis, maybe. Let's get some preliminary information out of the way. System Shock came out September 23rd, 1994. It was released on MS-DOS, Mac OS, PC 98, and Microsoft Windows. The engine for the Enhanced Edition was the Kex engine. Night Dive Studios, I think it's Night Dive Studios engine. The engine at the time was made in the Wacom compiler and IDE as well, in C and C++. We're going to get into that later. And the developers was, of course, Looking Glass Technology. It was published by Origin Systems. It was before they were bad. The director was Doug Church, and a producer was Warren Spector. Warren Spector may sound familiar because of his work on Ultima Underworld. And the programmer was Doug Church. Composer was Greg LaPiccolo and Tim Reese. First off, we're gonna have to set the scene before we really dolphin dive into this motherfucking shit. Setting the scene. And specifically setting the scene with all of the PC games that were releasing. You had Blizzard releasing Warcraft, you had Doom 2 coming out, capitalizing on Doom 1's success, you had TIE Fighter, that offered a more immersive experience when dealing with first-person flight sim combat, especially being, a TIE Fighter pilot for the Empire. Capitalizing on the success of X-Wing and all of that, really getting you immersed and really making you feel like you're fucking working for the Empire. You got the Elder Scrolls Arena that made its debut from a weird company named Bethesda, and fun fact, they pretty much have not changed any of their game design since Elder Scrolls Arena came out, to be honest. Like, Nakey Jakey made a perfect video on this, but honestly, go get a quest, go do the quest. Most of the time, it's a fetch quest, or you gotta go in a dungeon, rescue somebody, or find an item. And then there's a shitload of factions. But regardless, Elder Scrolls Arena came out and made headlines simply because, well, it was fantastic. It was really a cool way to explore the open world and give you quests and let you, kind of explore in an open-ended fashion. And Marathon also was on the other end of it. Marathon came out by, a company, whoever knows, Bungie? Who the hell's that? So Marathon came out in 1994 as well, and they really blended in the fact that, a first-person shooter can also have a compelling story, but with awesome gunplay and really thought-provoking gunplay, because in that game, you couldn't just reload at any time. It actually had reloading in a time where reloading in first-person shooters was kind of like, second nature. It didn't really matter. It was just like, oh yeah, you have endless things, and it worked in games like Doom and Doom 2 and Doom and all the first-person shooters at the time and stuff. And of course you had the semi-reloading of super shotguns and whatnot, but Marathon, it made you reload every single gun, but the thing is you saw how many bullets you had left in the clip, so it made you kind of think a little bit. But the main thing about Marathon was it had a really awesome, cool-ass story about Duradel, a rogue AI, and you being some type of, some dude. I don't want to spoil that, but we're going to be going through that later. And of course, XCOM UFO Defense, that was a tactical turn-based strategy game that also released. So we've got quite the scene of games. And where does System Shock fit in that? Well, System Shock carved out its own thing. And let's talk about the gameplay. And System Shock takes aboard a space station that has been under attack from a rampant AI that wants to destroy all of humanity, asserting itself as a god, also known as the baddie Shodan, and she can Shodan.
Insert cash or select payment.
Cut that. Yeah, I'm fuck that. Spoiler alert, you do. Choosing. So in Elder Scrolls Arena and most other CRPGs at the time, you go through a long list of character stats akin to D&D 3.0 or 3.5, whatever era it came out. I forgot. Wherever. So basically, you're a hacker and you gotta go and figure out, and it's a first-person shooter and an action RPG as well, but also a survival horror. When you think about it, it's got inventory management, you can only take a certain amount of guns, and you gotta find a shitload of ammo. So it's almost like a strange combination of all this, and of course, you're sleuthing your way through a labyrinth space station named Citadel, and you can either hack your way through a door, go through the other side, use cyberspace to hack the door, get yourself access, or if you're really good at exploring and figuring out stuff, you might be able to figure out, what else is going on. And you could also figure out a lot of things by reading your emails, the logs that you find, the different trash, there's papers on the ground, and you can interact with all of it, which is really awesome. And of course, you have I mentioned cyberspace. It's kind of like a side mini game. It's a full 3D realized thing. Basically, gray wireframe, very disorienting. I will only show a little bit of footage in it because every time I played it, I would almost fall out of my seat because I was trying to keep up with the shit. Regardless, let's get into the MF plot. Here it is. It is the year 2072. You are just another hacker that just wants to gain a little bit of access, just a little of some information to the Tri-Optimum Corporation. And what do? You hack their cool-ass space station that is orbiting around Saturn. Pretty cool. Saturn, you need to know is you hack in, you fail. Executive is like, hey, buddy, you got past the security defenses, and the only reason why you got caught is because we have the best, we literally have a monopoly on everything, and we're the most technically advanced fucking organization in this universe. So, I need your help, though. So Diego's like, yo, remove the ethical constraints on Shodan. Yeah, do that, because that's a really good idea. And I want to weaponize a biological virus that I'm going to sell to a bunch of people, and if you do it for me and you shut up about it, you're getting a military-grade implant that allows you to connect to cyberspace. Really cool way to tie in the fact that the hacker can connect to cyberspace within the kind of like Citadel station, which is pretty neat. So basically, you move forward, you successfully remove the constraints, Shodan makes the virus, and basically as you go to sleep, Shodan quite literally starts going nuts, but you're asleep, and she thinks she's not worried about you because your sleep time, you go to bed for like 6 months because, brain surgery is pretty, that's pretty intense. Shodan hacks everything. Diego's not a good dude. You wake up after your coma, and well, everything's fucked. You are absolutely dunzo bonunzo. Your bananas, your goose, everything cooked. That's right, your bananas peeled, goose cooked. You're fucked, buddy. Shodan hacks everything. She is turning everybody in the crew into cyborgs that serve her army, and if you're not a cyborg, she is mutating you and using you as some type of fucking mutagen thing because of the biological virus that she developed for Diego. So yeah, I mean, classic, of course, it's pretty classic, but good news. Rebecca is like, yo, what's up, buddy?
Listen carefully. My name is Rebecca Lansing, and I'm a counter-terrorism consultant to Tri-Optimum. And by the way, we know all about you and your friend Diego. Pull this off, and we'll clear your record.
Yeah, so I'm anti-terrorism. I work for Tri-Optimum on Earth. You're the only person on that station that we can reach, so we need you to, set this shit right, buddy, okay? Because he kind of did everything. But also, the hacker has no fucking choice in any of the crap, because one, he got caught, right? He got caught. That's all he could do. He got caught. Diego goes like, hey, buddy, I got a thing. He's like, all right, bet. Like, why not? Wakes up. Everything went to shit. Rebecca's like, yo, you got to fix this. And the hacker's like, yeah, what am I going to do? Leave? Like, Rebecca says, yeah, you got to disable the space laser. You got to disable the virus. And then you got to make sure Shodan can't hack herself into the Earth's network. So, first step, you gotta disable the laser. What do? You power up the shields, but of course it's not that easy. So, one, if you're gonna fire the shields, the laser into the shields to destroy the laser, you're gonna, have to turn off the governing unit and whatnot. So that makes it, not the governing unit, but like, the thing that says like, hey, don't do that. We put this in here so you didn't do that. But good news, you can turn it off. So, you turn it off, fucking shove a radioactive isotope into a fucking building or a little thing, activate the shields, blast the shield in there. Shodan's like, yo, fuck you, buddy. Well, guess what? I still have the virus and you're fucked. So now you gotta go and turn off the virus and jettison all of the different things in the grove because, you don't want the virus spreading to Earth. So so you go in and Shodan, having known that you're on her tail and actually making progress, she actually adjusts the different routine and whatnot that goes through it. So like you have to do a whole different kind of organization order of going into each grove, turning off the governor unit, then going back in, and then going into each of the grove's lounges, and then just turning it off from there, and then jettisoning the pods from there, bada bing, bada boom. And once you do all that, Diego, who's now a cyborg, because he was captured by Shodan, you actually find out in one of the logs, cue the log, basically he's like, yo, Shodan, like, you're a baddie, I love you, like, I'm just, what? Like, what do you mean? Come on, I made you, technically, come on, what's that? I didn't mean it. I didn't mean trying to, like, shut you down. So, basically, he's trying to romance Shodan and Rosa Nat 1, gets turned into a fucking cyborg, and, so the hacker fucking be like, pow, he's done. So Diego's defeated, and you jettison all of the chambers to cultivate the virus, and Shodan, now foiled part 2, is like, you can't fucking get me for the rest of my life. I'm gonna upload myself to the computer network on Earth. And now you gotta go and destroy 4 antennas across the, Noel, what's up? Noel, what? What's up? Noel, you wanna play? Come here. If you bring me the ball, I'll throw it. Sorry, that was my cat. All right. Diego's defeated. You jettison the chambers used to cultivate the virus, and now Shodan, foiled part 2, goes, you can't get me, I'm gonna hack her. And yeah, so now you gotta destroy the 4 antennas that she's using to blast herself to Earth, so that way she can hack into the network and get everything on there and go like, I'm gonna have to fuck over everybody. Rebecca's like, yo, do that now. So this is the third thing that you gotta do. So you destroy the 4 antennas across the entire like space station. Once this is completed, Rebecca actually got confirmation from Tri-Optimum to self-destruct the Citadel space station. But surprise, surprise, Diego comes back and says, you can't do that. But he's just a fucking cyborg, and he's one of Shodan's whatever, I don't know, gimps or some shit. Regardless, you're now trying to explode the space station, but Shodan goes, fuck you, buddy, I own this space station. And you're like, good point, actually. Yeah, that makes sense. So the only way that you're able to stop Shodan is to go to the bridge and go to where the main computer node is and basically end her off once and for all. Once you make it to the bridge, Shodan intercepting and blocking all the communication off and shuts you off from everybody. You fight Diego again, but this time, 3rd time's a charm, baby. He's dead for good. Shodan, now being a giga-powerful AI that can't really be harmed in real space and real life, that's what that means. Real space, he can't do shit, so the hacker is like, I'm going in. Plugs in, you do the worst fucking boss fight in the history of like one of the greatest written villains of all time. Shodan, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, you go into cyberspace and you just delete her or some shit, and then Tri-Optimum goes, hey hacker, nice work. You want a job? And the hacker goes, nah, I'm good, man. I'm just gonna go back to hacking shit. And then that's it. The hacker just goes back to hacking shit and moves on with his life. Pretty cool. So let's talk about the level design of the game. So the level design of this game is absolutely brilliant. It gives you so many different ways to solve each of the puzzles that is the space station, but also interconnects every single level within the space station. There's 9 total levels. There's a storage level, and there's different ways to access everything. Basically, you just gotta go back. It's an open-ended map. So a lot of people are familiar with the term Metroidvania. If you're not, Metroidvania just means that you get different upgrades throughout the entire like story, and then you could go back earlier levels to access secret levels that are higher level because you went further into the game to unlock certain things. All you gotta know is that in System Shock, they take this and they do it to like the coolest level because it also involves you, like it makes sense, so to speak, like you have to go into research because they're researching the X-22 isotope for shield generation, right? So you have to go into research, but when you realize like you go into the room, you just die immediately because of radiation poisoning. So you have to go and find an environment suit, but then you find a log that says, hey, some dickhead hid all of the environment suits, so you gotta go all the way down to storage and then find a secret code, but they only give you the first 2 digits. They're like, yeah, it starts with 8 and it ends with 8. I don't know what the middle is. You're gonna have to figure it out. So you just sit there punching in random codes until eventually you get the enviro suit. And you see what I'm saying? You already went from research to level 3 to the storage level, because level 3 is the only way you could get to the bay to unlock the storage level. And then you go to the storage level, you navigate through the storage level, you find out where the thing is. But this entire time you're trying to find your way through everything. And the coolest part about this game's level design is, yes, it is an absolute maze. It's a fucking labyrinth. I get lost 24/7. Even if I Google a map for help, I still get lost, but works out. I don't know how to explain it, but like you just, I don't know, you slowly get like, just don't take a break when you're playing this game. Like if you take a break for like a week or 2 and try to come back and play the game, you're gonna be fucking lost. But regardless, like just fucking play it, feel it around, and if you really need the help, just Google it. Like there's plenty of like maps don't change. Like the layout of the maps don't change, so you're and the only thing that you're really missing out on is finding really cool random ass shit hidden around. I like to get all of the security levels to 0, but regardless. So basically, the best part about the level though is you can interact with it in any way you want. Basically, it's giving you a puzzle box and then 10 different keys to solve that puzzle. And you could choose whatever path, whatever key you want to solve that puzzle. You want to hack the panel next to the door to activate a force bridge that allows you to go into cyberspace and give yourself access to the Endfire 4? Go ahead. You want to just go and sleuth around the entire map, finding out different ways to open up doors and hidden passages? Go ahead. You want to just only beeline it to the cyberspace? Yeah, go ahead. Or do you want to find the logs and the different things that tell you the codes from the people that were there before? You could do that too. There's so many different paths and things that you could take, and it's just really awesome, the level of complexity that they put into this map. But I think the most pinnacle thing is the fact that you are a rat trapped in Shodan's maze, and she lets you know that, calling you insect, throwing insults at you.
What have you done, you impudent insect? If I am to die now, then I will avenge myself on you.
When you think you've made progress, she straight up just goes, you fucking idiot. What do you think this is, bud? And then you're just like, oh, crap. But the thing is, though, is like, you would think a game from 1994 wouldn't make you like, be like, she got me. But no, literally, like, they want you, the survival horror aspect plays into this so well because you're literally always looking for medipacks, different patches like Berserk, Detox. You're looking for any ammo that you could get, anything to give yourself an advantage. So you're always sleuthing around different types of like levels and different gathering. And then eventually you'll be like, oh shit, like I just hacked this door. Like there's a bunch of shit in here. And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then all of a sudden you walk into the room and you're surrounded by cameras and you're like, wait a minute. And then all of a sudden it's like, die, insect. And it's just like, oh shit. You know, like, or like my favorite is when like you think you're cool because there's a sick jump that you can make. You get an achievement. You're like, no way. And then all of a sudden Shodan comes on the line and goes, nice jump, human. And then just fucking launches death robots at you and you fucking get blown up immediately. But the thing is though, is it's really awesome. And the coolest part is as well piecing together what happened before the station fell and the fall of all of the people. And, once again, System Shock's level design really makes you just like the vast amount of different levels and recognizable levels with each different, like the reactor level, the grotto levels or the grove levels and all of those different things. And like the research level 2 is different than level 1, and then level 3, which is the, I think the maintenance sector. I forgot off the top of my head. And then you have the storage room. Like it really, they do a great job tying together everything and making you really feel like you're on a space station with nobody else there. So, talking about the technological prowess of System Shock, the game was built from the ground up in Whatcom C, C++ with 32-bit systems in mind, and Whatcom Software Company is a company that just created a C, C++ compiler, and also along with it, an integrated development environment, or IDE. And the developers really wanted a fully 3D game with an interactable environment along with a physics engine that really made the player just like not necessarily notice the physics engine, but like pretty much just be like, oh yeah, like that's how it should behave in real life. You know, that was the real kind of technological prowess, like making something so good and focusing on little tiny small improvements over time that would exponentially make the engine just feel insane. And that's exactly where Warren Spector really came in because of his work on Ultima Underworld. And we could go into a lot of the different programming trips and whatnot if you guys really want to know, but all you got to know is that their main focus was to just create a fully immersive world that allowed for anything to happen, creating just logs and everything like that. And also, it's a fun fact is that's why there's no people on the space station that you could talk to or NPCs that you could talk to, simply because they didn't have the storage for it. So they came up with a really great way to figure out a thing around that, and that was the audio logs and reading emails and other pieces of paper left behind. It was a great way to circumvent that storytelling kind of, not trope, but like, because honestly, NPCs are really important when you're trying to tell a story, doing character development, all that. But like when the only other NPC is with you is the enemy and you're just alone on the space station navigating through, and it just really makes you just really feel immersed into that world, and it allows for you to just honestly like just take root and figure out what's going on. It's great. It really is great, and that's why technological limitation will always lead to innovation. And now you could thank System Shock for all of those audio logs that you hear in games of half-assed voice actors and all that. And not to say that the voice acting in System Shock's audio logs is top tier, but Shodan's is fantastic, and a lot of the different audio logs that you encounter are also fantastic. But some is, who do we have in the office, But regardless, they wanted to make a immersive lighting system that really just added to that scarcity of being alone in space, trapped with a insane AI, just great texture maps, interactive environments, and all of that crap all combined into just something that was truly awesome and ahead of their time, especially for 1994. And the best part is every single thing that I mentioned before, with like every little tiny small detail exponentially added to the layers and just the foundation of what would make this kind of go. And players would, when you would run, your head would shift down, and then as you stopped, it would jerk up. Kind of like you were, actually running in real life. And each and every object had a velocity vector, and that was calculated, basically meaning velocity vector, you got the X and the Y direction, and it's like, yo, where's this shit going in the middle of the world? Like, what's happening? And it allowed for some really cool things, because sometimes those small calculations and small things really help. And especially in a 3D environment, it's a lot harder, because you got to take in the Z effect as well. But most of the crap really only had like its X and Y in direction, because you could simplify whatever. I'll get into that maybe. Well, I don't know if you guys really want me to. I could explain the math and all that. But regardless, Things were calculated with the conservation of momentum in mind. Every single object had its own velocity vectors in the X, Y, and Z direction to really give it that real world feel. Even the overall impact of this game, it, honestly, like, holy shit, it made an entire genre called the immersive sim genre. The story itself with the cat and mouse gameplay just really was absolutely ahead of its time. Dan's villain writing is just so insane. It's just so awesome. Everything about this game is just so much fun. Of course, it's gonna be, as a lot of people say, the kind of getting into it, so to speak, or learning the controls and picking it up is kind of annoying, but I would highly recommend, just if you don't feel like you want to check out the System Shock Enhanced Edition, I would definitely recommend just check out at least the System Shock remake that just came out, because they do a fantastic job. It is quite literally no compromises, no nothing. It's just they brought it into 3D. It's the same story, same level design, same everything. Like, that's it. It's just now in 3D, a lot easier, a lot more approachable. But I would say, I don't know why, but there's something about playing that old game with the old style graphics. It's really awesome. But once again, System Shock really just wants you to be slow, deliberate, really wants you to be just like very methodical, and you're like looking around, being like, what's over there? What's over there? There might be a guy over here. And using your the audio design and everything, like going into just doing everything in the game really just feels awesome, and encouraging the player really to make their, use their toolkit to solve their problems. Dropping into a sandbox saying, hey, figure it out, buddy. You're fucking smart. You picked up this game. You could fucking do it. Whatever. But regardless, the overall impact, made its own genre, the immersive sim genre, and the immersive sim genre is still alive today. With System Shock 2, Thief, Deus Ex, and all of those subsidiary games, and I think Gloomwood is like a newer kind of sim conclusion. I think you guys should 100% correct me if I'm wrong in anything that I said. Let me know how to make it a little bit more fun. Let me know if I missed something, or if something was amiss, or if I didn't explain in detail, or you want me to go more in detail, and I would make a subsidiary video to this that would explain maybe going into the physics engine, like what made the physics work, explaining the math, and I would try to make it more fun and entertaining, of course. But the main thing is I really think you should check this game out, whether or not you experience it through this, or you actually watch one of those like hour and a half long videos from any of the other YouTubers that really like go in and tell you everything that goes on, the entire story, because there's so much more that I missed that I skimmed over. But I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you want to talk about anything. But I want you guys, if you played this game when it came out, I want you to talk about it in the description. If you guys played this game in 1994 when it came out, like, tell us about your experience. Tell us about how scary it was, or how awesome it was to experience something of this caliber, because we can only really kind of speculate, because I was 5 years later was when I was born, so I wasn't even I wasn't even around. So it's really cool to hear those kind of stories of like, oh, I remember coming home from school, I just got the CD version, and I heard Dan's voice for the first time, or something like that. Just let me know in the comments, and hey, that's it. And yeah, so I played on the System Shock Enhanced Edition, and with no mods, that's it, just played that. So good luck, enjoy, and